Welcome to the appendix, where we read the primary sources of the past so the present can be better understood. Today's primary source: Report and Resolutions of the Hartford Convention, January 4th, 1815. The dissatisfaction of the New England Federalists with the Republican administration, with the accession of Western territories, and with the War of 1812, culminated in the Hartford Convention of December 1814. The convention was attended by the delegates from Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Vermont, and New Hampshire. George Cabot of Massachusetts was president of the convention. Among its members were H.G. Otis, N. Dane, C. Goodrich, and Samuel Ward. Cabot exercised a moderating influence on the convention, and the reports and resolutions adopted were far from radical or treasonable. Commissioners went to Washington with the resolutions of the convention, but arriving just after the news of Jackson's victory at New Orleans and the Treaty of Ghent, abandoned their mission. To investigate and explain the means whereby this fatal reverse has been effected would require a voluminous discussion. Nothing more can be attempted in this report than a general allusion to the principles outlined of the policies which has produced the vicissitude. Among these may be enumerated: first, a deliberate and extensive system for effecting a combination among certain states by exciting local jealousies and ambition, so as to secure to popular leaders in one section of the Union the control of public affairs in perpetual succession, to which primary objects most other characteristics of the system may be reconciled. Secondly, the political intolerance displayed and avowed in excluding from office men of unacceptable merit for want of adherence to the executive creed. Thirdly, the infraction of the judiciary authority and rights by depriving judges of their offices in violation of the Constitution. Fourthly, the abolition of existing taxes requisite to prepare the country for those changes to which nations are always exposed, with a favor to the acquisition of popular favor. Fifthly, the influence of patronage in the distribution of offices, which in these states has been almost invariably made among men the least entitled to such distinction, and who have sold themselves as ready instruments for distracting public opinion and encouraging administration to hold in contempt the wishes and remonstrances of a people thus apparently divided. Sixthly, the administration of new states into the Union formed at pleasure in the western region has destroyed the balance of power which existed among the original states and deeply affected their interest. Seventhly, the easy administration of naturalized foreigners to places of trust, honor, or profit, operating as an inducement to the malcontent subjects of the Old World to come to these states in quest of executive patronage, and to repay it by an abject devotion to executive measures. Eighthly, hostility to Great Britain and partially to the late government of France, adopted as coincident with popular prejudice and subvertment to the main object party power. Connected with these must be ranked erroneous and distorted estimates of the power and resources of those nations, of the probable results of their controversies, and of our political relations to them respectively. Lastly and principally, a visionary and superficial theory in regard to commerce, accompanied by a real hatred, but a feigned regard to its interest and ruinous preservation in efforts to render it an instrument of coercion and war. But it is not conceivable that the obloquy of any administration in so short a period have so nearly consummated the work of a national ruin unless favored by defects in the Constitution. To enumerate all the improvements of which that instrument is susceptible, and to propose such amendments as might render it in all respects perfect, would be a task which this convention has not thought proper to assume. They have confined their attention to such as experience has demonstrated to be essential, and even among these some are considered entitled to more serious attention than others. They are suggested without any intentional disrespect to other states, and are meant to be such as all shall find an interest in promoting. Their object is to strengthen, and if possible to perpetuate, the union of the states, by removing the grounds of existing jealousies, and providing for a fair and equal representation, and a limitation of powers which have been misused. There follows an analysis of the proposed amendments. Therefore resolved, that it be and hereby is recommended to the legislature of the several states represented in this convention to adopt all such measures as may be necessary effectually to protect the citizens of said states from the operations and effects of all acts which have been or may be passed by the Congress of the United States, which shall contain provisions subjecting the militia or other citizens to forcible drafts, conscriptions, or impressments not authorized by the Constitution of the United States. Resolved, that it be and hereby is recommended to the said legislatures to authorize an immediate and earnest application to be made to the government of the United States, requesting their consent to some arrangement whereby the said states may separately or in concert be empowered to assume upon themselves the defense of their territory against the enemy, and a reasonable portion of the taxes collected within said states may be paid into the respective treasuries thereof, and appropriated to the payment of the balance due said states, and to the future defense of the same, the amount so paid into the said treasuries to be credited, and the disbursements made, as aforesaid, to be charged to the United States. Resolved, that it be, and hereby is, recommended to the legislatures of the aforesaid states to pass laws, where it has not already been done, authorizing the governors or commanders-in-chief of their militia to make detachments from the same, or to form voluntary corps, as shall be most convenient and comfortable to their constituents, and to cause the same to be well armed, equipped, and disciplined, and held in readiness for service, and upon the request of the governor of either of the other states to employ the whole of such detachment or corps, and as well as the regular forces of the state, or such part thereof as may be required and can be spared, consistently with the safety of the state, in assisting the state making such requests to repel any evasion thereof which shall be made or attempted by the public enemy. Resolved, that the following amendments of the Constitution of the United States be recommended to the states represented as aforesaid, to be proposed by them for adoption by the state legislatures, and in such cases as may be deemed expedient by a convention chosen by the people of each state. And it is further recommended that the said states shall preserve in their efforts to obtain such amendments until the same shall be effected. First, representatives in the direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union, according to their respective numbers of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed, and all other persons. Second, no new state shall be admitted into the Union by Congress in virtue of the power granted by the Constitution without the concurrence of 2/3 of both houses. Third, Congress shall not have power to lay any embargo on the ships or vessels of the citizens of the United States in the ports or harbors thereof for more than 60 days. Fourth, Congress shall not have power without the concurrence of 2/3 of both houses to interdict the commercial intercourse between the United States and any foreign nation, or the dependencies thereof. Fifth, Congress shall not make or declare war or authorize acts of hostility against any foreign nations without the concurrence of 2/3 of both houses, except such acts of hostility be in defense of the territories of the United States when actually invaded. Sixth, no person who shall hereafter be naturalized shall be eligible as a member of the Senate or House of Representatives of the United States, nor capable of holding any civil office under the authority of the United States. Seventh, the same person shall not be elected President of the United States a second time, nor shall the President be elected for the same state 2 terms in succession. Resolved, that if the application of these states to the government of the United States recommended in a foregoing resolution should be unsuccessful, and peace should not be concluded, and the defense of these states should be neglected, as it has since the commencement of the war, it will, in the opinion of this convention, be expedient for the legislatures of the several states to appoint delegates to another convention to meet at Boston, with such powers and instructions as the exigency of a crisis so momentous may require. Thank you for joining us for our primary source today on the appendix. We will see you in the stacks.